Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life when the ground beneath us gives way, when everything we thought was certain collapses. You fall, you fail, you break. But in that moment, when your back is against the wall, when your strength feels gone, you have two choices: stay down or rise again stronger than ever. This is not just about recovery. It's about rebirth. The most powerful version of you doesn't emerge when everything is easy. It's forged in the fire of adversity. Life doesn't test you to destroy you. It tests you to show you what you're truly made of. Let's talk about the 6 truths, the 6 forces that will help you rise again stronger than ever. The pain you feel right now is not here to destroy you. It's here to instruct you. Every setback carries a message, a lesson, a new level of wisdom. Stop asking, why did this happen to me? And start asking, what is this trying to teach me? Because pain becomes power the moment you decide to learn from it. Those who embrace their pain rather than run from it gain an edge, an inner strength that no comfort zone can ever create. You cannot become strong by winning all the time. You become strong when you lose, adapt, and rise again. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the soil it grows from. Every time you fall and stand back up, you build the muscle of resilience. The champions of this world are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who never stay down. The difference between those who rise and those who remain broken is mindset. If you believe you're defeated, you are. But if you decide, truly decide, that you will rise no matter what, then nothing can stop you. The comeback starts in your mind long before it happens in your life. You must take control of your focus, your language, your inner voice, because what you tell yourself in silence will either rebuild you or break you again. Your past doesn't define you. The moments you regret, the failures that haunt you, the pain that scarred you, they are fuel for your rise. If you choose to use them, stop dragging your past into your present. Instead, let it push you forward. The greatest growth happens when you turn your scars into stories of strength and your struggles into strategies for success. No one rises alone. You need people who see your potential even when you can't. People who challenge your excuses and remind you who you are when you forget. Your environment is either shaping your strength or feeding your weakness. Surround yourself with energy that lifts you higher, not people who keep you comfortable in your pain. When you rise again, don't just rebuild what you lost, build something greater. Use this as your moment of reinvention. The person you were before the fall can't carry you to the future you're meant to live. Create a vision so powerful that it pulls you forward even when motivation fades. Purpose is the ultimate fuel. It gives your pain meaning and turns your comeback into a masterpiece. Ladies and gentlemen, life is not about never falling. It's about always rising. You've been through storms, but the storm didn't break you. It revealed your strength. Every scar, every wound, every moment of doubt was preparing you for this, for your rise. So stand tall. Wipe the dust from your spirit. Look your fears in the eye and say, I am not done. I'm just getting started, because the world hasn't seen your best yet. The fall was only the beginning. Now it's time to rise again, stronger than ever. Pain is a teacher, not a punishment. It's one of the most profound truths in life, yet it's also one of the hardest to accept. When pain hits, it feels unfair, cruel, and unbearable. You question everything, your strength, your choices, even your purpose. But the reality is, pain is not here to destroy, it's here to awaken you. It's the universal way of stripping away the unnecessary so that only what's real remains. Every time you experience pain, life is trying to communicate something powerful. It's a signal, a lesson wrapped in discomfort, pushing you toward growth. Think back to a time you faced deep pain, maybe a failure, a betrayal, or a loss. In that moment, it might have felt like the end. But as time passed, you began to see how it changed you. Maybe it made you wiser, stronger, or more compassionate. Pain, when understood, becomes the architect of strength. It builds layers of resilience that success could never create. When everything is easy, you don't grow. Comfort keeps you stagnant. Pain forces transformation. It's in those dark moments that you discover what you're truly made of. The human spirit doesn't reveal its strength in comfort. It reveals it in crisis. Most people try to escape pain. They numb it, ignore it, or bury it under distractions. But avoiding pain only makes it grow stronger. When you confront it, when you face it head on and listen to what it's trying to tell you, it begins to lose its grip. The secret is not to resist pain, but to lean into it. Ask yourself, what is this moment trying to teach me? Maybe it's teaching you patience. Maybe it's teaching you to let go. Maybe it's teaching you to believe in yourself again. The lesson is always there if you're willing to look. Growth hides behind discomfort, and wisdom often speaks through pain. Pain reveals your limits so you can push beyond them. It exposes weaknesses that need strengthening. It teaches humility when your ego grows too loud and courage when your fear grows too strong. Every time life knocks you down, you have the chance to rebuild with more intention. You gain perspective. You see what truly matters and what doesn't. Pain burns away illusion, leaving behind truth. It's not punishment, it's purification. The fire that hurts also refines. Just like gold is purified by heat, your character is purified by pain. You cannot become extraordinary without going through something that challenges you beyond measure. The people who inspire the world are not those who never felt pain. They are the ones who turned their pain into purpose. They took what broke them and used it to help others heal. They didn't let pain define them. They let it drive them. Every great story of strength has a chapter filled with suffering. The difference lies in how the story ends. You can let pain make you bitter, or you can let it make you better. When you choose to learn from it, pain becomes your greatest mentor. It teaches you discipline, empathy, resilience, and gratitude. You begin to understand that pain is not the enemy. It's the catalyst for becoming who you were meant to be. Every scar on your body or in your heart tells a story of survival. It's proof that you faced pain and came out stronger. Instead of seeing pain as a curse, see it as a call to rise. Every struggle is a stepping stone, every heartbreak a redirection, every failure a foundation for your next victory. Pain doesn't arrive to punish you, it arrives to prepare you. And when you finally understand that you no longer fear it, you welcome it as a teacher that leads you to your highest self. Failure is the foundation of strength. It is the moment when everything collapses, your plans fall apart, and your confidence shatters. Yet it's also the moment when true growth begins. Most people see failure as the end, as a sign they are not good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. But failure is not a dead end, it's a turning point. It's the forge where resilience is built and character is refined. Without failure, there is no depth, no strength, no mastery. Every success story you've ever heard was born from countless failures that shaped the person behind it. Failure doesn't break you, it builds you if you let it. When you fail, life is showing you the gap between where you are and where you're capable of being. It's not rejection, it's redirection. The universe is not saying no, it's saying not yet. Each failure reveals what doesn't work, and with every lesson learned, you're getting closer to what will. The people who succeed at the highest levels are not those who never fall. They're the ones who fall more often than anyone else. But they keep getting up. They don't view failure as defeat. They see it as data, feedback, a message from life that helps them refine their approach. Every mistake becomes a teacher, every setback a guide. The truth is strength is never built in victory. It's built in defeat, in the long nights of frustration, in the quiet moments when no one believes in you and you have to find the courage to believe in yourself. When everything goes wrong and you choose to rise again, that's when your real power is born. Failure introduces you to parts of yourself you never knew existed. It reveals your grit, your patience, your endurance. It teaches you that success is not about perfections. You may stumble 1,000 times, but each time you stand back up, you become more unshakable. Many people fear failure so deeply that they never even try. They stay safe, never risking rejection or embarrassment. But that fear robs them of their potential. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's the process of success. Every great innovator, athlete, or creator has a trail of failures behind their triumphs. Edison's light bulb didn't come from one attempt. It came from over 1,000 failures that each taught him something new. Failure is the laboratory of greatness. It's where you experiment, test, and discover what works through what doesn't. If you never fail, it means you're not growing, you're playing small, staying within the limits of your comfort zone. The key is to change your relationship with failure. Instead of fearing it, embrace it. Instead of letting it define your worth, let it refine your strategy. When you fail, don't ask, why me? Ask, what can I learn? The lesson is always there, hidden beneath the disappointment. The faster you extract the lesson, the faster you rise. Every failure carries the seed of an equal or greater comeback, but only if you're willing to see it. Resilience is born from the repetition of recovery. Each time you get back up, your belief in yourself deepens. You stop seeing failure as a reason to quit and start seeing it as proof that you're in the fight, that you're still growing, that you're still moving forward. When you fail and still choose to continue, you create a level of inner strength that cannot be taught in comfort. You start to realize that failure doesn't define your identity. Your response to it does. It's through failure that you develop humility, focus, and hunger. You stop expecting an easy road and start appreciating the power of the climb. And eventually, when success arrives, it won't be fragile or fleeting. It will be grounded, earned, and unshakable because it was built on the solid foundation of every failure that came before it. Your mind determines your comeback. Everything begins and ends in the mind because it's the command center of your entire life. The way you think in the moments of defeat decides whether you rise again or remain broken. It's not the external circumstances that shape your future, it's your internal dialogue. When something painful happens, your mind instantly starts writing a story about it. A story of loss, helplessness, or power. The story you choose to believe becomes your reality. If you convince yourself that you're finished, you are. But if you decide that no matter what happens, you will rise, you've already taken the first step toward victory. The human mind is capable of extraordinary strength, but it must be trained, conditioned, and disciplined to see opportunity where others see obstacles. When adversity strikes, your emotions scream that it's over. Fear whispers that you don't have what it takes. Doubt builds walls around your potential, but your mind has the power to dismantle all of it. The comeback starts when you take control of your focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. If you focus on the pain, you'll feel more pain. If you focus on the lesson, you'll grow stronger. You have to guard your mind like a fortress because your thoughts are constantly shaping the meaning of your experiences. The strongest people are not those who never feel broken. They are those who master their minds when everything inside them wants to give up. They understand that mental strength is not about ignoring fear or sadness. It's about refusing to let those emotions drive their decisions. Your mind can either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Every day, you're feeding it with words, beliefs, and emotions that either empower you or weaken you. The thoughts you repeat become the foundation of your identity. If you constantly tell yourself, I can't do this, your mind will find every reason to prove you right. But if you declare, I will rise, I will rebuild, I will win, your mind begins searching for possibilities instead of problems. It becomes a tool of creation instead of destruction. The mind is like a garden. If you don't plant strong, positive, disciplined thoughts, weeds of doubt and fear will take over. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can always control what happens within you. The moment you shift your focus from what's lost to what's possible, you begin to reclaim your power. That shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens by intention. You must train your mind daily through gratitude, through visualization, through powerful self-talk. Every champion, every leader, every person who rose from the ashes learned how to program their mind for strength when life tested them the hardest. They didn't wait for motivation to show up. They built it through mental discipline. The comeback is not born in comfort, but in the decision to think differently when everything around you falls apart. Sometimes your circumstances won't change immediately, but your mindset can change instantly. And when it does, everything else begins to move. The energy you carry, the choices you make, the way you speak to yourself, all of it shifts. You start to see failure as feedback, pain as progress, and delay as preparation. You begin to act not from fear, but from faith. The moment your mind believes something is possible, your body, your habits, and your destiny begin to align with that belief. That's the real power of the human spirit. To choose a thought that creates a new reality. When you master your mind, you become unstoppable. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop blaming and start building. The comeback doesn't happen when everything gets better. It happens when you decide to think better. No one can rise from the ashes without first winning the battle inside their own head. The mind that once told you to quit can become the same mind that drives you to greatness if you choose to rewrite the story. That is where every comeback begins, in the quiet, powerful decision within your mind to rise again. No matter how many times you've fallen, your past does not define you, it refines you. The past is a chapter, not the entire story, yet too many people live their lives as if yesterday is a permanent prison. They replay mistakes, failures, and heartbreaks over and over, believing those moments dictate who they are and what they can become. But the truth is, your past is not a verdict, it's a lesson. Every painful memory, every wrong decision, every disappointment was preparing you for something greater. You can either let it anchor you down or use it as the foundation to rise higher. The power to choose what your past means lies entirely in your hands. You can see it as a reason to quit or as the very reason to become unstoppable. The past often carries emotional weight. Regret, shame, guilt, or loss can feel heavy, almost unbearable. But carrying those emotions into your present is like walking with chains. You move, but never freely. At some point, you must decide to release the past, not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. Letting go doesn't mean erasing the memories. It means breaking the control they have over your emotions and decisions. What happened to you might not have been your fault, but what you do with it now is your responsibility. Every scar you carry tells a story of survival, not defeat. You're not the same person you were back then, and that's the beauty of life. You evolve, you adapt, you grow. When you look back on your past, it's important to see it through the lens of growth, not guilt. The mistakes that once haunted you are the very experiences that built your strength, compassion, and wisdom. You can't change what happened, but you can transform its meaning. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I learned. Instead of saying, I was broken, say, I was rebuilt. This change in perception is the difference between being trapped in the past and being transformed by it. The same fire that once burned you can be the fire that forges your greatness. Every time you rise after a setback, you prove that your past was never meant to define your limits, but to reveal your power. Your environment, your upbringing, your early choices. None of these are life sentences. They are starting points. What truly defines you is what you decide to do now. Many people allow their past to become their identity. They say, this is just who I am, when in reality they are clinging to an outdated version of themselves. The truth is, identity is fluid. You are allowed to outgrow your old story. You are allowed to rewrite who you are. The moment you stop identifying with your past mistakes is the moment you begin to create your future with freedom and clarity. You can honor where you came from with being held hostage by it. The most powerful transformations happen when people use their past as fuel. The pain that once broke them becomes their motivation to help others heal. The failure that once embarrassed them becomes the reason they work harder than anyone else. The rejection that once hurt them becomes the drive to create something extraordinary. When you reframe your past as preparation instead of punishment, it loses its ability to hurt you. The same events that once made you feel powerless can become the foundation of your strength. No matter how dark your past was, it cannot stop the light that's within you unless you let it. You are not your mistakes, not your losses. not your trauma. You are the person who endured them and kept going. Every moment you survived was shaping your resilience and character for the person you are meant to become. Life's greatest gift is the power to begin again, to rewrite the script, to say, that was me then, but this is who I choose to be now. The past was the lesson. The present is the choice. The future is your creation. And once you understand that your past becomes nothing more than a path that led you to your strength, no one rises alone. The people around you either pull you forward or hold you back. And the energy they carry seeps into your life more than you realize. Surrounding yourself with growth energy means being intentional about who and what you allow into your space. Your environment is not neutral. It is constantly shaping your mindset, your focus, and your belief in what's possible. You can have incredible talent, ambition, and drive, but if you live in an environment that feeds doubt, negativity, or mediocrity, it will eventually drain your power. Growth requires energy, and that energy must come from people who uplift, challenge, and remind you of your potential even when you forget it yourself. The truth is, every conversation, every relationship, and every circle you choose either fuels your rise or feeds your excuses. There are people who make you feel alive and others who quietly dim your light. Sometimes it's not that you lack motivation, it's that you're surrounded by energy that kills it. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Their habits influence yours, their language shapes your thinking, and their standards become your ceiling. That's why it's crucial to evaluate your circle, not with judgment, but with awareness. If you spend time with people who constantly complain, doubt, or blame, you'll start absorbing their mindset. But if you're around people who dream bigger, act boldly, and take responsibility for their growth, you'll naturally rise to meet that energy. Surrounding yourself with growth energy doesn't always mean finding perfect people. It means finding people who are growing, who are pushing themselves forward, who don't settle for less than their potential. These are the ones who will call you out when you start slipping, who will remind you of your purpose when fear takes over, who will push you when comfort starts to pull you back. Growth energy is contagious. When you spend time with people who refuse to give up, you start adopting that same resilience. You start to believe again. You start to stretch beyond your limits because you're no longer doing it alone. There's another truth about growth energy. Sometimes to rise, you must separate. You have to distance yourself from people who drain your spirit, even if you love them. Not because you're better than them, but because you're protecting your purpose. You can't heal in the same environment that broke you. You can't grow in soil that's toxic to your roots. Sometimes the hardest part of transformation is outgrowing people who choose to stay the same. But you must, because your future depends on the energy you allow in your present. You owe it to yourself to create a circle that reflects the person you're becoming, not the person you used to be. Growth energy also comes from what you consume. The books you read, the videos you watch, the conversations you engage in, the goals you focus on daily. If you constantly feed your mind with fear, gossip, or comparison, your motivation will shrink. But when you feed your mind with inspiration, knowledge, and vision, your energy expands. You start to think differently, feel differently, and act differently. Every input becomes a seed, and what you plant repeatedly becomes your internal environment. Protecting your mental and emotional space is as important as protecting your physical health, because your environment influences your decisions, and your decisions create your destiny. You have the power to design the energy that surrounds you. You can seek mentors who challenge you, friends who celebrate your growth, and communities that share your hunger for progress. You can choose to let go of conversations that drain you and embrace those that elevate you. The more intentional you become about your environment, the more unstoppable your growth becomes. The right energy doesn't just lift you, it transforms you. It reminds you that you are capable, deserving, and limitless. And once you align yourself with people and influences that reflect that truth, rising stronger becomes not just possible, but inevitable. When life knocks you down and you make the decision to rise again, you have a choice to rebuild what you lost or to create something greater. Rebuilding with purpose and vision means refusing to simply return to who you were before the fall. It means using the pain, the lessons, and the growth to become someone wiser, stronger, and more intentional. Many people try to go back to how things used to be, but that version of life no longer exists. The person you were before the setback can't carry you to the next level. You've changed. The fire you went through wasn't meant to bring you back to normal. It was meant to awaken something extraordinary within you. The real victory isn't in rebuilding the same structure that collapsed. It's in creating a new one, this time with deeper foundations built on clarity, vision, and purpose. When you rebuild your life after failure, heartbreak, or loss, you can't do it by accident. You must do it with intention. Purpose gives meaning to your pain. It turns confusion into direction. Without a clear purpose, you'll end up repeating the same mistakes, chasing empty goals, or seeking validation from the wrong places. Purpose gives you focus when life tries to distract you. It gives you strength when things get hard again because it reminds you that everything you do now serves something greater than your comfort. Purpose doesn't always appear instantly. Sometimes it reveals itself slowly through struggle, through reflection, through the quiet moments when you ask yourself what truly matters. But once you find it, it becomes the engine that drives your comeback. Vision is the picture you hold in your mind of the life you want to create, not what you think you can have, but what you truly desire deep down. Without vision, you drift. You start reacting to life instead of creating it. When you rise again, you must see beyond the ruins of what was and imagine what could be. Every great comeback begins in the imagination before it ever manifests in reality. You must be able to see the victor before you live. It gives your pain direction. It gives your healing a destination. When you see a future that excites you, your energy shifts from survival to creation. You stop asking, how do I recover? And start asking, how do I build something extraordinary from this? Rebuilding with purpose and vision requires courage because it demands change. It means letting go of habits, identities, and even people that no longer align with where you're going. It's not easy to walk away from the familiar, but growth never happens in comfort. The stronger version of you is not built on what's easy, it's built on what's necessary. Every time you choose purpose over fear and vision over doubt, you take back your power. You begin to lead your life instead of being led by circumstance. That's how you rebuild piece by piece, decision by decision, with every step guided by intention instead of impulse. When you rise again, the goal isn't to prove the world wrong. It's to prove to yourself that you can live with authenticity and meaning. Purpose turns your comeback into a mission. Vision gives that mission direction. Together, they transform your life into something that inspires others to rise as well. Because when you rebuild from a place of truth, you radiate strength. You show the world that falling down didn't break you. It built you. The struggle becomes your testimony. The pain becomes your power. The lessons become your legacy. You stop existing and start living deliberately. And that's the ultimate rise. Not just surviving what broke you, but creating a life so meaningful that it makes every fall worth it.